Hello students, my name is Shayan Mitra. I am the faculty member of Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. Today I am going to take the class of signal system and topic is Introduction to Z transform. This is the introductory class of Z transform. In the next with this lecture we will cover up the whole Z transform in this next 4 lectures. Okay, so let's begin with it. And this is the lecture number 23. Subject code is EC303, subject signal system. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so the first PPT that is going to discuss about is the contents. So first we will going to give an introductory description of Z transform. Then we will going to discuss about the region of convergence. Then the properties of region and convergence. Fourth one is Z transform of common sequence. All the properties and theorems that are in this syllabus. Then the application of Z transform and inverse Z transform and Z transform implementation using the MATLAB. Okay, so let's begin with it. First, what is Z transform? The Z transform is a mathematical tool commonly used for the analysis and synthesis of discrete time control systems. The Z transform in discrete time systems play a similar role as the Laplace transform in continuous time systems. Okay, so what is the difference between the Z transform and Laplace transform is in case of Z transform it is basically work for discrete time systems, and for Laplace transform it is basically work for continuous time system. Okay, so one second. Okay, so let's proceed with the next slide. So the Z transform is the most general concept for the transformation of discrete time series. It basically used to transform one specific signal which is in a time domain region to the it will help to transform this time domain signal to a frequency domain signal. The Laplace transform is the most general concept. Laplace transform is the most general concept for the information of continuous time process. So there is a basic difference between the Laplace transform and the Z transform. In case of Z transform is basically used to convert a specific signal from time domain to frequency domain, but it is basically applicable for the discrete time systems. And the Laplace transform is basically a general concept which has been used for continuous time signals. Okay, so let's proceed with the next slide. So the first we are going to give basic introductory definitions. What are these things? So the Laplace transform of a function of t can be converted to a frequency domain signal by using this specific formula. The formula is function of t into e to the power minus st dt, and the integration of 0 to infinity. Now this s is basically sigma plus j omega, where the value of sigma is basically a real component and omega is for the j added component is a imaginary component. Okay, and the next one is the one-sided Z transform of a function x of n is basically n is equal to 0 to infinity x of n into z to the power minus n, and this is the x of z. The two-sided Z transform of a function x of n is basically minus infinity to plus infinity x of n z to the power minus n. So these are the basic function and the basic formulas for Laplace transform, one-sided Z transform of a function of x of n, and two-sided Z transform of a function x of n. Okay, so let's proceed with the next lecture, next PPT. So we are going to discuss about how the Z transform works. Okay, now the Z transform comes about same way as continuous time Fourier transform, in which the variable is omega. The omega is generalized to Laplace transform, and continuous time Fourier transform is generalized to Laplace transform by going from j omega to sigma plus j omega. Okay, now this value s is basically sigma plus j omega that I have already described in the previous slide. that sigma is the real part of that specific signal and j omega is the imaginary part. Okay, and we are going to discuss is about it, how it works. So these are the basic differences. Okay, so let's proceed. Another thing, that in case of continuous time Fourier transform, which is generalized to Laplace transform by going from j omega to sigma plus j omega, that's a very important function we are going to discuss is about it. Okay, so we will add a real part to convert a continuous time Fourier transform to the Laplace transform. In case of Laplace transform, there is a real part that has been added to the continuous time Fourier transform, through which it has been changed from continuous time Fourier transform to Laplace transform. Okay, so let's proceed with the next slide. Now how we convert this the continuous time Fourier transform to Laplace transform. Okay, so this function where the conversion of j omega towards the sigma plus j omega is that this enlarges the capability of the transform to handle much wider class of signal system. This was the motivation for going to Laplace transform from continuous time Fourier transform. Okay, one second. Yes. Okay, so by adding that part, now is basically it the whole motivation behind going from continuous time Fourier transform to Laplace transform is to have a conjugate symmetry. Using that conjugate symmetry, by doing the average, we can easily determine the total total energy of that specific signal and the considerable system also. Okay, so we are going to discuss this about much deeply in this specific lecture. Okay, so let's proceed. Now the same way is in case of the similarities and the dissimilarities between the continuous time and Laplace transform is very important to understand here. That same here is that what we have used, that when we are using a discrete time Fourier transform, we use this two-sided formula of summation of minus infinity to plus infinity x of n e to the power minus j omega n, where this double-sided Z transform is basically provided as the frequency domain analysis of that specific signal. Okay, so in case of this, x of omega is equal to summation of minus infinity to plus infinity x of n e to the power minus j omega n. That is the basic formula for the Z transform, where this Z transform is basically applicable to the discrete time Fourier transform, and Laplace transform is basically used for continuous time Fourier transform. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, now what we have here, that variable in this discrete time Fourier transform is obtained in equation number 1. That equation is this equation. Okay, now the value of e to the power minus j omega generalized to r into e to the power j omega, where the magnitude is 1 because the n is equal to 1. We have considered n is equal to 1, so that's the value is e to the power j omega, and generalized to r into e to the power j omega, where we have introduced the r. The value of r is basically is 1, where r may be 1. If r is equal to 1, this is a discrete time Fourier transform. If r is not equal to 1, the new transform is Z transform. Okay, so that's the basic reality. Now how it works, let's understand that. Okay, now in Laplace transform, we worked on the j omega realization to sigma plus j omega. We worked on rectangular coordinates. Now where in case of Z transform, we work in polar coordinates. We specify complex e to the power j omega by its distance from the origin, which is r. So this value r is basically nothing but the distance of that complex value e to the power j omega from the origin, which is r. Okay, and the angle it makes with the positive real axis is the omega. So using this perception, we are going to understand how the frequency we are going to we could say understand or determine the frequency. So the basic fundamental property of the Z transform is to get the realization of a specific signal from time domain to frequency domain. So it is basically an analysis or synthesis of a basic signal in frequency domain. Okay, so if we just go beyond that, now in case of Laplace transform, we use sigma plus j omega, where the j omega relation we worked on rectangular coordinates, we have already did that, and we are going to discuss all that also. And in case of Z transform, we work in the polar coordinates. We specify complex e to the power j omega by its distance from the origin, which is r. Now this is, now if you take a close look here, this is the position of the one. Now this is the distance, this is the value 1, okay, this is the value of r, and this angle which is making with the origin is the omega, or you could say the frequency. Okay, so we have to determine the frequency of that using the Z transform. We are going to determine the frequency of this specific discrete time Fourier transform. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Now in equation 1, if we gave r into e to the power j omega a new name, say Z. Now if we wish to generalize discrete time Fourier transform into a new transform, then e to the power j omega is replaced by Z. Now this is the Z value. So if you take a close look here, the Z is nothing but the value e to the power minus j omega. Okay, we have used the exponential, we have already discussed all these things, that how a specific signal can be replaced, a specific periodic signal or a specific aperiodic signal can be represented using Fourier series representation or using Fourier transform. Okay, so it is the next level of that. After using exponential function, or you could say that after representing a specific periodic or aperiodic signal as a linear combination of exponential function, we just take it to the next level, where we have decided to take e to the power minus j omega as Z. There's the basic difference. Now in case of discrete time Fourier transform, we use the Z transform, and in case of continuous time Fourier transform, we use the Laplace transform. Now the value of r here is very important, because in case of Z transform we use the circular coordinate, okay, or polar form. Basically what you could see that we, as we have already learned in the complex number, we will use the polar form. Okay, in case of Laplace transform, we use the rectangular coordinate or Cartesian coordinate, where we have decided to understand the sigma plus j omega. There is a in different process. In case of Z transform, we will we will take a circular motion of r, depending if the value of r is in the value of 1, then it will be in a Z transform. Okay, so easily, if it is r is equal to 1, the value of r is 1 in everywhere, then we will take the discrete Fourier transform. In case of the r is not equal to 1, we will go to the Z transform. Okay, so let's understand how this. Now the Z transform, now after replacing the value e to the power minus j omega to Z, what we get here, that Z transform reduces to the Fourier transform when the magnitude of the transform variable Z is unity. Okay, that's the basic reality. That there's a very important line here, that the Z transform reduces to the Fourier transform when the magnitude of the transform variable Z is unity. So the value of Z is, when the value of Z is not unity, then it is basically we will access to the, we'll take a step ahead, and we will solve this problem using the Z transform. So there is a basic difference between the Fourier, the application or the significance of using Z transform, where we are going to use a Z transform and where we are going to use the Fourier transform. When the transform variable Z is unity, it is basically Fourier transform. When the value of Z is greater than unity, then you are using the Z transform. Okay, so let's proceed to how we understand, how we realize to use a Z transform. Okay, let's begin. Now when x of Z is a rational function, a rational of polynomials in Z, then the roots of the numerator polynomial are referred to as the zeros of x of Z. That's a very important 2 points we have to understand very clearly, that the roots of the numerator of polynomial are referred to as the zeros of x of Z, and the roots of the denominator polynomial are referred to as the poles of x of Z. Okay, now that number of poles of x of Z can occur within the region of convergence, since the Z transform does not converge at a pole. Okay, furthermore, the region of convergence is bounded by poles. That's the why. Now from the this line we can easily understand the why the region of convergence is bounded by poles, because the region of convergence doesn't converge at a pole, it will only converge at a 0. So the existence of region of convergence will be bounded by the poles, because at poles it is not going to be get zeros, not going to be zeros. So the number of poles and where the position of the poles are very important to understand how we use the Z transform, or how we conduct the region of convergence property, or yes, the region of convergence property to understand the Z transform. Okay, so 2 points there, that roots of the denominator are of the polynomial are referred to as the zeros, and the denominator of the polynomial referred to as the poles. So and in a specific Z transform is doesn't converge at bounded, or at doesn't converge at poles, but it can converge at zeros. Okay, so let's we'll take this discussion furthermore. Now another important point, what is the region of convergence? The Z transform of an x of n can be viewed as the Fourier transform of x of n multiplied on an exponential sequence r to the power n, and the Z transform may converge even when the Fourier transform does not. This point is also very important, that if you take a closer look here, that what is saying is that the Z transform of an x of n can be viewed as the Fourier transform of x of n multiplied by an exponential sequence of r to the power n, r to the power minus n, and the Z transform may converge even when the Fourier transform does not. Okay, that's very important possibilities. Let's again, by redefining convergence, it is possible that the Fourier transform may converge when the Z transform does not. For the Fourier transform to converge, the sequence must have a finite energy, or it could be look like this, that we have already discussed in the Parseval dielectric condition, that a specific a signal should be in a finite energy. Without that we cannot have a Fourier transform of the specific signal which is in a time domain. To convert it from time domain to frequency domain, we cannot use the Fourier transform if the energy of the specific signal is not a finite energy. Okay, so what we have here, that n is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x of n r to the power minus n in this region. Okay, so this is the specific condition. The Fourier transform to converge, the sequence must have a finite energy. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now the power series for the Z transform is called the Lorentz series. We have already discussed Lorentz series in your first area. Okay, so x of z is basically minus infinity to plus infinity x of n z to the power minus n. The Lorentz series and therefore the Z transform represent an analytic function at every point, inside the region of convergence, and therefore the Z transform and all its derivatives must be continuous functions of Z inside the region of convergence. Okay, so what you are saying, that we are going to go through this specific point again, that the Lorentz series and therefore the Z transform represent an analytic function at every point inside the region of convergence, and therefore the Z transform and all its derivative must be continuous functions of Z inside the region of convergence. Okay, so if we have to check this goes through the we can use the Z transform in region of convergence. So what we have to do, we have to take the Z transform, all the derivatives we have to reconsider, or we could say we have to check the condition of that all the derivatives, that those are continuous function or not inside the region of convergence. Okay, so in general the Lorentz series will converge in an annular region of Z plane. Okay, so through picture we are going to discuss it easily. Okay, so now how it works, let's suppose this is a specific discrete time signal. Okay, a to the power n un. Okay, a simple signal. So the Z transform is given by of that specific signal x of n. So this is the x of n. So we put the value of x of put the value of x of n in this spot, and it is a to the power n un z to the power minus n. Okay, and what we get, that as this is a step function, so the limit of the function will be n is equal to 0 to infinite and a to the power z minus 1 whole to the power n. And as we know from the Lorentz, we can convert it to this form, is 1 minus 1 by 1 minus a to the power z, a to the power 1 by 1 minus a into z to the power minus 1. It could be written here as this, z by z minus a. And the value, now the important factor is the value of z, or the absolute value of z, should be greater than absolute value of a. Now the absolute value of a is this, as the r. Okay, now clearly x of z has a 0 at z is equal to 0. Okay, so at 0 what will happen? At the 0 point, the specific z, the region of convergence can be converged at the zeros, because it doesn't converge it at poles. Okay, so what we have here is that as a 0 at z is equal to 0 and a pole at z is equal to a. And now as we know that this value is equal to 0 for be it at the pole, so z is equal to a at pole. So the region of convergence of that specific discrete time for signal is a to the power n a to the power n into un is this. At 0, the region of convergence will not exist. From this point, from z is equal to a, after this circle the region of convergence will exist. Okay, at this point at z is equal to 0 will not exist. Okay, so it has converges. So what we understood from this specific picture is that in case of z transform, the region of convergence, the region of convergence is converged at z is equal to 0. So that's why we don't have any, we have a vanished value practically. We don't have any, don't have any values. Okay, but at z is equal to a, this value is this. Okay, the subsequent, at this subsequent spot, it exists here. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Another is now from, so up to this what we have understood how a z transform is basically work. Now we're going to understand how using the z transform we can understand the system is stable or unstable. Okay, so the furthermost thing that we have understood here, that in case of z transform, basically a discrete time Fourier transform, the step ahead of discrete time Fourier transform is z transform, and a step ahead of continuous time Fourier transform is Laplace transform. In case of Laplace transform, we use sigma plus j omega. In case of z transform, we use region of convergence, where the poles, all the region of convergence is bounded by the poles, because a region of convergence doesn't converge at poles, but it converges at 0. So from this example we could understand easily that how it works practically. Okay, one second. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Now as a stable system, as you have already know, a system is said to be stable if this condition has been satisfied by the system, is k is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, mod of h of k less than infinity, which means that a bounded input will not yield an unbounded output. This is a simple basic definition of a stable system. Okay, so next we like to understand is what is a causal system. A causal system is one in which changes in output do not precede changes in input. In other words, a causal system is one in which changes in output do not precede changes in input. In other words, if x of n is equal to x of 2n for n less than equal to n0, then transform of x of 1n is equal to transform of x of 2n for n less than n0. Linear shift invariant system are causal if h of n is equal to 0 for n less than equal to 0. Any kind of shift invariant system will be a causal system if h of n is 0 for n less than 0, or h of n is not equal to 0 for n greater than 0. So these are the basic system properties of stable with which we are going to discuss it in the later section of the next lecture. We are going to discuss how a z transform is basically used to understand a system is stable or causal. Okay, using different kind of approaches towards the using the z transform. Okay, so we are going to conclude our today's lecture here. In the next lecture we are going to discuss about more about the z transform. Okay, so thank you.